we've turned the pages as an organization today from the Rams. We're fully on to the Cowboys right now going forward. Obviously, with divisional play starting, it's a big week for us as a team. This rivalry, without being said, obviously carries a lot of intensity to it. This is definitely a challenging opponent. This offense is very explosive. The quarterback does a great job extending plays. He's very accurate, has a big arm, has the ability to stick the ball in the tight windows. They've got multiple explosive receivers. Their run game's extremely good with Zeke back there and the combination of Pollard for a change of pace. Both backs are capable of really having explosive plays and going distance. I think Kellen's done a great job with taking this offense, really adding his own spin to it, mixing in a large combination of misdirection, RPOs, and things that really help the quarterback. And obviously with Mike's influence, they put enough changes on it from the previous years that it keeps you on your toes. In terms of the defense, all starts with the edge rushers right there and up front. They've done a good job really putting pressure on opponents. It starts with really trying to make you one-dimensional and let the pass rushers go at your quarterback and try to put pressure on your passing game right there. We've got to do a good job of protecting up front and buying time for our quarterback. And then the kicking game, Bones does a tremendous job of really creating multiples and running with those fakes. So very similar to what we talked about last week with the Rams with Johnny Hecker. Obviously, Bones is the one who started that whole deal out there, and he's carrying it over into Dallas. They're not afraid to roll the dice. They really do a great job of keeping you on your toes in terms of playing alert at all times for gimmicks. They got a punter who can throw the ball. They've got a kicker who can hit onside kicks at any time. And they've got athletes on the field in terms of PP sweeps, PP dives, and a lot of things to go ahead and extend their drives. So obviously this will be a challenge for us this week. We're getting after it today in terms of going on to the Cowboys. So all that being said, I'll open up to any questions you may have.
Coach, update on the injuries, please, and the progress of Sterling Shepard.
Yeah, Sterling's working hard every day right now. I just saw him in the weight room a minute ago. He's with the trainers a large part. Obviously, he's in our meetings with us and staying on the game plan, staying mentally involved. We hope to get Sterling back as soon as possible. We'll see what that timetable is, but he's progressing at a good rate for us every day.
Any other injuries, Coach, to X and a few other ones?
We're going to check out X today, see where he's at right now. We've got a walk-through practice for our team today, so there's not going to be a ton of exposure in terms of what guys are going to be doing, banging around and hitting. We're giving the guys a little bit of time to recover from the West Coast trip. This was planned weeks in advance, so we'll kind of take a look at a lot of the guys who are banged up from the game the other day and see where they are going in tomorrow when we put pads on.
You see what's going on around the league. What's your message to the players about the COVID?
Yeah, listen, our message to the players now is the same as it's been since day one at training camp. There's protocols in place. There's things we have to respect and follow. We've been diligent as an organization. The players have been very receptive. They've been, very obedient to everything going on. As coaches, we have a responsibility to making sure that we kind of keep these guys aware of what's going on around them. They're very aware of what's going on, but we've done a pretty good job as an organization. I'm happy with the progress our players have made. So,
you guys are averaging like 11.7 points per game. Their defense has given up more points than anybody in the league. It looked like you guys kind of got some balance going in the second half on Sunday. What gives you confidence that this might be the week that you guys break out of this a little bit?
Yeah, I think just as a team, we have to keep improving on all three phases right now, Matt. We saw some progress from our offense. There was definitely some more balance last week. This game plan will be different than the Rams' game plan. We're playing against a different team. Look, their defense is very capable, and they've got a lot of athletes. One thing about this team is they've got a ton of talent. They got a lot of speed. They have explosive players. We've got to do a good job really accounting for those guys and giving our skilled players a chance to get to the ball and make plays with it in their hand. Our offensive line has to do a good job to be making progress for us right there. So we got to carry over some of what we did last week and continue making progress.
Is someone like Evan Ingram, who had a big second half against the Bears a couple weeks ago when you moved him around the line, is he somebody that you think could be a focal point against the Cowboys?
Yeah, Evan's always a guy we try to get involved. So it doesn't matter who we're playing. Obviously, all the guys at the game we're trying to get involved. Evan in his skill roles or whether it's in line with some of the blocking, he always has a big part of the game plan for us.
Zach?
Hey, Joe. Going back to when you were putting your staff together, what was it about Patrick Graham that you thought of when you were picking who your defensive coordinator was going to be? And what has it been like seeing him kind of get the guys playing the way they have, especially this last week?
I've known Patrick for some time, so my experience of working with him gave me a lot of respect for him as a person and as a coach. I know the way he works. He's a very intelligent person. He's got a great rapport with his players. His players play very hard for him. He does a great job of really playing with multiples and really game planning to fit each opponent specifically. That's something that's important to us as a team that want to be multiple in what we do and make sure we give our players the best chance to be successful. But, Pat's a great dude. He's very, very smart. He's a heck of a football coach. I'm excited still that we're able to add him to our staff.
The leader in this division has only one win. Do you focus on that at all? Do you talk to your team about that at all, where one win makes a big difference in everything?
I think one win makes a difference every week, Bruce. And right now, everyone in our division's 0-0 this week. So our focus is every week, one game at a time. We play this game like it's its own season. We play every play like it's got a history and life of its own. So that's our only focus this week is the Cowboys.
I just want to follow up on the COVID question. Yep. Are you thinking of asking players to isolate instead of going home?
No, I think the league's already established protocols and rules, and it's just our duty to follow those. I'm not a doctor, although I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But just right now, make sure we follow what they put in place.
I know the Rams are in the rear view, but you made the decision to bring Saquon and Shep and Jabril out to the West Coast. I'm just curious what was behind that thinking and what message was there a message you were sent to the team, to them? Why was it important to have them out there even though you knew they weren't going to play?
Yeah, I'd say real simple. Everybody on our team that's in any kind of injury protocol is in a different position. With where Shep was, we thought it'd be good for him to kind of stay with the rehab and that multi-day trip. Being the fact that it was more than one day kind of added a little bit different curve to it. And Saquon and Pep, they're captains on our team. So that's the reason right there that they were on the trip. And we depend on those guys for leadership and being involved. And that was it right there.
Just the other thing I wanted to ask you about, when you have Jason running the offense, going against his former team, I'm just curious. I know every game is in and of itself, and guys know tendencies. You change the verbiage and stuff like that. But how conscious are you guys of the fact that you're bringing an offense that Jason is running into a place that is pretty familiar with what he's run in the past?
Yeah, I think you got to be conscious this year above all, Art, and just the fact that there's no fans with the TV broadcasts, you can hear a lot of communication anyway. So I think on both sides of the ball, that draws awareness into what you're bringing into each stadium. That being said, there's a lot of similarities and crossovers, team to team. Everyone's worked in different places. Players have played in different places. Everyone has a lot of shared experiences. So, the NFL, you can say it's a copycat league. You can say it's a transient league in terms of guys, crossing over and carrying over experience from different places. It's no different this week with having guys that were on a previous staff. But it's still a new week. The Cowboys not the same team they were last year. There's different styles of our offense. There's different curves on what they're doing offensively and defensively. So there's similarities in some of our staff experiences in the past, but it's definitely a new opponent.
Joe, on the flip side of that, how much do you talk to Jason about the Cowboys offense when he knows that personnel backward and forward? And also, what's the most helpful thing you've learned from him since he's joined your staff?
Well, the second part of the question first is, I could go into, a long dissertation about the conversations I've had with Jason, with Pat, with T-Mac, and all the coordinators and things that we've learned. Things I've gotten off Brett Bielema, Derek Dooley on their experiences before as well. So, I try to make sure I gain as much information and knowledge from everybody on our staff. Jason has definitely, added a lot and shed a lot of light and perspective on things I've had to go through in my first year. That being said, we try to use every resource we have on every single week. So, obviously, with Jason's knowledge of personnel within the building, we've talked and discussed different things offensively and defensively with him. He's not the only coach that came from that team as well. So we try to use everyone we can in every situation.
Joe, you mentioned before that you haven't played in front of fans. You will this weekend. Is that something you have to sort of brace for and reacclimate to?
No, to be honest with you, it's exciting. I think there's a part of football that obviously we all want fans there. There's a different kind of energy home and away, but I think both energy really add to the atmosphere and add to the environment. I'm looking forward to playing Dallas this week. And the bonus that there's going to be fans there as well, that's just added incentive to it.
Does it bother you that some teams do have fans and some don't? I mean, obviously, the fans that are there aren't going to be rooting for you.
No, I don't think we need any pats on the back to be motivated to go out there. But, look, there's obviously rules state by state, and we respect those rules. And whatever atmosphere we're allowed to play in, we're going to embrace that.
Last question here, Pat Leonard.
You're a team that's been bringing in a lot of new guys and turning your roster over. What do you think of the NFL's new regulation on taking 6 days to bring in a free agent just for a tryout?
Yeah, obviously there's reasons put in place for that, Pat. I think we just have to respect that. Does it make things a little bit more challenging in terms of planning ahead on the front end? Absolutely. But I would say that with the added practice squad spots this year going up to 16, different from the 10 in the past, that gives you a little bit more flexibility in who you can bring in and out of your program and kind of see players on an extended basis. In terms of the tryouts, we have to be smart in how we do things with players. Number one, 6 days in a hotel, we have to be realistic about what you're going to ask a guy to do on the field after sitting in a hotel for 6 days. To me, it's a lot about what you've seen on tape leading up to that, and calculating the investment you want to make with the player and what you're really looking for specifically when you bring him in for a tryout. I don't think it can just be a generic tryout. Bring him out there, run through drills, see how he moves, because to be honest, you have to be fair to all the players. 6 days sitting in a hotel, you're not going to hit the grass on day one and really wow anybody. Everyone has some rust to knock off. So to me, I think you have to make it as much of a mental tryout as you do a physical tryout in how you approach it.
And one last thing. Have you communicated with people in the Patriots organization and Titans maybe, and just kind of pick their brain about what's going wrong or how they're handling an outbreak? I mean, you guys obviously have done a great job so far, but are you reaching out to these people and kind of gauging how these processes are going, or do you just think everything's different?
Yeah, I would say this just in general, Pat. It's a small league, so I think everybody uses their own resources and kind of their own, network to communicate and get different ideas on how you can handle things. I'd say I have had communication with those teams, although I haven't had communication with them in the last, I'd say, week or so. So anything specifically that's going on right now in the news, I don't have any light to shed on that, but we have talked continuously throughout in terms of different situations that may have came up or different things to anticipate, and ask them kind of how maybe they're structuring different things and vice versa, kind of getting influence from what we're doing as well. But we try to use everybody's experiences to learn from. And in a year like this, it's important to make sure you communicate and kind of just find out what's going on around the league so you can anticipate and then avoid problems.